Alright, continuing on. Let's go ahead and throw on a mesh smooth just to see how this is looking. And this might surprise you a little bit, but maybe not. Anyways, throwing on a mesh smooth, let me hit F4 to get rid of that. You'll notice that, I mean, we're getting some detail here, but a lot of this is very amorphous. You know, I mean, the area around the eye is still looking very sort of lackluster. So one of the first things I want to do is I want to define that area a little better. So I'm going to do that by continuing to do edge ring and connect and to add that sort of stuff to really help define the lid area. So let me turn my mesh smooth back off just so that I can see what I'm doing here. Let me go to editable poly. Select this edge, let me ring, let me connect. This should all feel relatively familiar. Alright, now then, let's go to my edge constraints, and now let's scale that inward a little bit. Okay, some of that isn't working quite how I'd hoped. Let me go ahead and grab the top edge and see if I can work it that way. Let me see if I can just grab all of this and scale that down. Not getting the results that I usually desire with edge constraints. So let me go ahead and turn that off. And now let me just do it the old-fashioned way, just by scaling it myself. That lower lid is looking the way I'd hoped it would. Let me go ahead and just work on that end for a moment. Okay. Let me go ahead and start dealing with that corner area around here. Let me also grab this and start pulling it down. I want to get sort of a stylized eye there. Or eyelid there. Alright. Let me go ahead and sink this area in a touch. And so now I can start focusing on the upper area of the lid. Pull this whole thing back. Go ahead and keep that out for now. This down a touch. This is just a whole lot of shaping. So if you're interested in some of the further ends of things, then you can just skip ahead, or you can join along with me. Now I don't expect this to have fixed the thing entirely. I probably want to add an edge loop on the inside of this area, but for now let's go ahead and turn the mesh smooth back on. Hit F4. Starting to get there. Starting to feel some of that shape. So let me go ahead and do as I said. Let me actually hide this really quick. Right click and hide selected. Oh, wrong one. Right click and hide selection, not hide unselected. And I'm actually going to hide or create an edge loop on the inside of this eyelid to try and help add that little extra bit of detail to it. Let's go ahead and ring, and actually let's do this with mesh smooth on to see what the ultimate result will be. And let's do a connect. You could definitely see that change Hold on, let me undo and let me redo. And you can see we now have a much more defined lid area. Let's go ahead and see how that looks with the eye in its place. Hold on, I'm right clicking and I'm saying unhide all. I don't know if you can tell, but I can tell this area is much better defined. So that's a good start. Okay, now from here we can pretty much, if we want, start doing additional edge loops to try and help define the lid area, or we can jump forward and continue to connect the shapes of the face. I'm going to opt for, I think we've got just enough detail to keep us satisfied here, and we can always go into detail, with the eyelid and that sort of stuff. But for now, I would like to continue forward. Let's go ahead and let's keep going. That being said, let me go ahead and take a look back at over here. Okay, now we have the general edge loopage for the eyelids and eye, in the cheek area, that sort of stuff. As you can see, I'm kind of going over here just a touch. But anyway, what we want to do next is we want to connect this area for the bridge of the nose, so that we can have that. We didn't want to include that in our general area here because, well, let me put it this way. If these two things came together, we really wouldn't have much to extrude out from for our nose. So I kept that separate quite deliberately. So let me go ahead and take this, hold shift, let me drag over a little bit past so that they meet. If I wanted to, I could make some further connections here, but that's ultimately going to be, our discretion. And now, let's see, what would be the best way to go here? I'm going to say, well, we could extrude out, or we could try and make the hood. Let me do the hood mode, except that actually, before connecting these items over, I'm actually going to grab a few more. And I will explain what the hood mode is in a moment. Let me go ahead and get these over and across the center point. Symmetry modifier will take care of merging those. Now, basically what the hood mode is, it's having an edge loop that goes across this area of the face. It's kind of like a ski mask, if you will. But it's just having an edge loop of polygons that goes all the way around and across this area of the nose. And I'm going to start by just having those set up. And now I'm going to grab, actually let's go ahead and just loop this, except that I'll get rid of these last bunch and I'll grab these instead, and let's just go ahead and extrude out. Using the scale tool, I will hit shift and I will click and drag. And that's going to require a whole lot of reshaping, but that's okay. You can hopefully already see what I was talking about with having this sort of look like a ninja hood or a ski mask. It's just connecting all of these items together so that we can continue onward. And actually, let me go ahead and Alt-W out of here and look at it from this area. Obviously going to have to do some reshaping around here because certain parts look a little too pulled forward, a little too pulled back, all that sort of stuff. And we're definitely going to want to add some geometry for the bridge of the nose. But for now, let's just go ahead and keep our house, so to speak, and get this stuff in order. go ahead and start grabbing some of these verts. Pulling down a little further. I don't think they need to be all the way up here. Grab this, pull it out some. Same deal with some of these. At this point in time, I'm trying not to rely too much on my reference. I'm trying to just get a feel for natural geometry. I still have some of my base set up there, so that's in place to help me if I go a little too far south. But for now, let's just try and shape this up some. At this point, it's very useful to have just a working knowledge of anatomy and the flow of the face to sort of guide you along what you should do here and now. Let's go ahead and take a look at this with Mesh Smooth turned on. It's blobby, but we are getting our general shape in there. So next thing I'm going to want to do is I'm going to want to create, let's go ahead and do that right now. Let me go ahead and create the starting geometry for the nose. Okay, let me deactivate Mesh Smooth. I prefer working in polygon mode. A lot of people will actually turn on Mesh Smooth to see their end results and just work like this. I don't much care for that. I mean, only if I'm like in the polishing stages of my work do I work like that. Whenever I'm adding geometry, though, I make a specific point to be able to see exactly what I'm doing. So I'm going to use the cut tool here and basically sort of cut and extrude in. To there. And that way I can continue this area down. Actually, let me think this through, because I'm going to want this to be the real bridge of my nose, which means that some of this is going to have to be, well, you know what? Actually, yeah. Let me undo that, because when I think about it, I want the bridge of the nose to happen around this area. Let me bring it around here. Hold on a second. Let me verify that I made those incisions properly. I definitely like this more. I think this has a better feel to it. Except for the fact that even though I tried not to screw up on my cut, I did. And I've got an extra vertex in there. Let me backspace that. There we go. Alright, where were we? Right, we were pulling out the nose. And let me go ahead and just grab these with polygons. It's not the most beautiful nose I've ever made, but it'll do for a start. Okay. And you know what? We should definitely confer with our side view to see what we can do to make that match up a little better. Yeah, I've got a big protruding nose there, and actually I've got a big manly brow too. Let's see if I can get that working proper. I'll start with the with this front area here, and let's just pull it forward. Let's see what effect that has on our model. And Alt W, Alt W again. Oh, wrong way, wrong direction. Back here. It's definitely pushing out that face, and I'm going to have to make some tweaks to get the brow following accordingly. This is definitely heavily exaggerated, and I may keep it this way. I may make adjustments. Actually, let's be honest. I will make adjustments. I always tinker and tinker and tinker with my work as much as I can because I want perfection. If not perfection, then excellence. Alright, that ain't bad. Let's turn on Mesh Smooth now and hit F4. And let me hit Z. Not bad. We got a scowly brow. That ain't too bad. And of course, like I said, we can add detail in this stuff, but for now I'm kind of, I've got a hankering to get some progress done on this fella. Actually, first thing I want to do, let me bring in the material editor and just throw on a gray material, because I got to admit that pink was starting to feel just a little too effeminate for me, and that's the farthest thing that I want for this guy. Want him to be a mean son of a bitch. Anyway, all right, on to the next lesson.